I want to be your disability rep.
And we're back. Roy, how you been?
I've been good. You?
Better than I deserved. Too short a weekend, right?
Indeed. They always are.
It was. Yeah. So
back to the grind now.
People ask me on Monday mornings, like, "What'd you do all weekend?" I'm like, I don't remember.
I know, it's hard to believe, isn't it? That we lose track of so much time.
We went to a trap shoot, actually. Jack went to a trap shoot, and then we went to eat at Cesar's Old Mexico. I'd not ever been there, but
yes,
very popular. We had a 30-minute wait at 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon.
Yes, it's amazing how many restaurants there are in the Springfield area and how long the wait is at really all of them.
Yeah. But, oh well, it was fun. We had a good time. It was very loud. I don't like the loud places.
I know. I've been over there too. It feels very constricted and very tight quarters.
But the food was good, so all that. So what are you bringing us today, Roy?
Well, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the government pension offset and the windfall elimination procedure. These are a couple things that kind of bite folks once they get approved for Social Security or widows or widowers benefits.
So those are some mighty big words.
They are.
Why don't you tell us what they mean?
Yeah, so kind of in general, let's talk a little bit, not very much, but a little bit about how Social Security calculates our benefits. Then we can kind of talk about the way that these two things affect that calculation. So the first thing to know is that Social Security has a replacement strategy in that they take your average monthly earnings and they replace a percentage of those, and that's how they calculate our benefit. So the first $1,032 a month of average earnings, they replace at 90% traditionally, which is why we'll see most people having benefits that are $1,000, $1,200 or more, because you get 90% of that first $1,000 of average earnings. Then they jump up and look at 32% from there.
Is that per month?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And they look at 32% from there to just over $6,000, and then 15% for anything above $6,000. And that's the way they calculate our benefit. So the first thing we'll talk about is the windfall elimination, and this is for school teachers, or really it's anybody who pays into an alternate system other than Social Security disability, or into Social Security. And so this will be, our firefighters sometimes, our police have their own pension funds. Railroad's a little different, so we won't talk about it. But it's a lot of times municipal governments or county governments or school districts are usually what are carved out there. And so what they do is instead of replacing 90% of that value in that first $1,000, they can cut that all the way down to half and only replace 50% of that first $1,000. And the idea is that because you paid into this alternate system, the school district, for example, from Social Security's perspective, you're artificially poor on paper because you didn't contribute a lot to the Social Security system. So you don't get that full benefit of that 90% replacement because they take that pension into account.
Well, like a public school system, they don't pay into Social Security at all.
Most, some will, but most don't.
Yeah. So
universities too will fall in that group.
Do they get a Social Security benefit if they've never paid in?
Yeah. So there's a couple things there. If you have earnings outside of the school district, earnings that you paid Social Security taxes on, then it changes that percentage. So we talked about 90% for most people of that first $1,000. The windfall elimination can erode it all the way down to 45%. Depending on the number of years you've worked in the Social Security system determines where you fall between 90 and 45%.
I see.
If you have 30 years outside of the school district and earnings you paid Social Security on, doesn't affect you. But 30 years is a long time for a second career.
It is a very long time for a second career. What about a concurrent career?
Yeah, well, it's earnings that are paid in. So yeah, you're correct in your thinking that if you had a concurrent career, then the money you paid in under the Social Security system would count towards those years.
Okay, well that's fascinating. What's the last thing we need to know today?
Well, I was also going to mention the government pension offset real quick.
Oh yes, please do.
This is for folks that are widows and widowers traditionally. And if you paid into a government retirement system somewhere along the way, and then you try to access one of these widows or widower benefits, they reduce what you draw. They count 2/3 of your pension against you and deduct that from your Social Security check. And so it's a substantial decrease in what people expect a lot of times. So the big takeaway is that both of these things are complicated, and when we talk about money, everybody wants to make sure that it's right, and the best way to make sure that it's right is to have somebody like myself look at your claim, talk with you about it, and we can kind of plan ahead for these things so there's no big surprise. If we get you approved for disability or if you get approved for widows or widowers benefits, you can know what to expect and not get caught off guard.
And if people want to get a hold of you?
417-882-1800 at the office, urdisabilityrep.com. And give me a ring or hit me up on the social there, and I'd be happy to visit with you.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week.
Take care, guys. I want to be your disability rep.